So hello everyone. My name is Radu Coravo, and I've been working for Oxygen XML for a long time, more than 20 years. I'm a contributor to the DITA OT project, and maybe 6 years ago something I was quite active in developing DITA OT plugins. And some of those plugins turned out to be more useful than others. I write small articles, blog posts, and so on. As I was trying to come up with the DITA OT Day agenda and trying to compose the presentations, I had this brilliant idea that there were no AI talks in the conference. So I said, how can I combine my passion for creating DITA OT plugins with the talk about AI? And this is this presentation. So we're going to talk about how we can use the DITA OT as a way to either enforce various rules using AI, or to use AI on the pre-processing part, or to produce content that the AI engine may use for other things. And I'm presenting like 5 ideas. They are all implemented as DITA OT plugins. They are not open source plugins, they are not yet commercial plugins, they are just ideas implemented as such. So the first idea is check using the AI the DITA XML content. So this plugin starts the DITA Open Toolkit. It goes to the pre-processing stage where content references and key references are resolved. And then it applies AI checks based on a prompt. For example, the prompt says, find spell check problems and grammar mistakes. Or the prompt says, find logical problems in each topic. And then this plugin generates a single JSON file containing all the reports for all the topics through which the AI has passed. Just to show you how the plugin works. As a plugin developer, I'm not developing my plugins directly inside the DITA Open Toolkit folder. I have inside the configuration file, I define a reference to my specific plugin folder outside of the DITA Open Toolkit. And here I have defined a single DITA Open Toolkit plugin which contains inside these 4 or 5 transformation types. So the plugin is called Oxygen XML AI, and it has a transformation type named AI checks with various parameters which can be configured by you. So the first parameter is the host name of the AI engine, and this defaults to OpenAI. The second one is the key, and the third is the engine model to use. And I'm using usually GPT-4o. And then maybe the most important parameter is the path to the prompt file. So this is the plugin XML. And I have a build file which imports the AI checks build file, and this build file depends on preprocess, so it depends on the DITA OT expanding keyrefs and conkeyrefs and so on. And then it uses a Java tasks and goes to all the topics in the DITA map. So if I want to use this plugin, I have a flowers DITA map, and I have the AI checks transformation type with the OpenAI key, the engine, and I'm leaving this default to the GPT-4o, and the path to the prompt file. And the prompt file looks, as I told you, something, it's very simple. So it says, report in JSON format errors with line and column information for all found spell check and grammar problems. And return directly the JSON content, do not wrap it in. So usually prompts are quite specific. So so I apply AI checks on my DITA map, and it goes through all the stages, and then it takes each topic one by one and checks it using the prompt, and it produces the JSON report at the end. And here is what it looks like. It shows the path to the original DITA topic, and then it has an errors list with line and column information and the errors reported by the AI engine. And then you can take this report and maybe create an HTML version of it or use it to correct the problems reported by the AI engine. Yeah, so this is the first type of plugin of transformation type that I created. Would you consider that you have use cases for this in your company, or maybe another prompt? This is a prompt for spell check. Maybe you want a prompt for logical consistency. So you want to take each topic, expand content references, and then ask the AI for if they are consistent with logical consistent. Yeah, moving forward. Yeah, so this is, as I showed you, the list of errors reported by the AI. You apply it on the DITA map, which may have 10, 100 and so on topics. Another use case we found was to produce a fine-tuned data set from a style guide. So the AI engine is quite generic. It's trained on generic data, which is not your user's manual. And also you have an internal style guide in your company, which says use this syntax, not that. So you have a terminology maybe. So with the fine-tune, you can tune the AI engine to better match your company's style guide, for example. So, for example, how does this work? So it starts the DITA OT. It allows the DITA OT to publish DITA to Markdown, and then as a last step, it applies AI fine-tune on the Markdown resources and obtains a single JSON-L file at the end containing the fine-tuned content. As a plugin, again, it's defined here in the plugin XML. It's a transformation type called AI fine-tune. Yeah, AI fine-tune with the same parameters as, almost the same parameters as AI check, hostname, key, and engine. And it has a system prompt, which is like a prefix which is added to all other prompts. So if I want to try to use it, it will look like this. So again, OpenAI key engine. I'm using a slightly older GPT engine, but it's faster for my tests. And the system prompt, and to show you how the output looks like. So this is the Oxygen style guide, which is a collection of rules that we created to write our documentation, as you may have created your own rules yourselves. And if applied on this style guide, the fine-tune transformation type produces, let me see, samples. Try to close some of this here. Yeah, it produces this JSON-L file, which is information necessary for the AI engine in order to fine-tune its responses based on your user's manual. So if I were to show you how one of these, so this is this is like a rule for the AI engine. It says you are a technical writing expert who applies the style guide. And it says, how should I refer to the content completion feature? And it says you should refer to it as a content completion assistant inside the win title, and it gives you an invalid usage and a valid usage example. And all this was created using the AI directly on the topics. So once you have this fine-tune, some of this here. So you have the fine-tuned JSON-L file, you load it on OpenAI. As a fine-tuned job. So you say create here, and upload your JSON file obtained by the trans type. And then this fine-tune allows the OpenAI to have some basic training for an AI engine specific for your style guide. So then I can I can compare side by side GPT-4o, which is a generic engine, and then the style guide, which is fine-tuned, the engine which is fine-tuned based on the Oxygen style guide, and then I can see if it gives me better answers based on what my team is doing. Yeah, so this is the fine-tuned data set. So from a specific words like use authors versus writers, and for example we want people to use content authors, it creates these JSON files using AI, where the AI even creates the examples. So it creates an invalid usage example and a valid usage example based just on this data topic written by the technical writer who maintains the style guide. Have you used the fine-tuned data in your company in order to fine-tune your AI engines so far? Not yet? I mean, yeah. Yeah. All right, moving forward. Yeah, so once you have your fine-tuned AI engine, it will respond better. So if you ask the engine, should I use content author versus technical writers, the default engine on the left says it's your choice. But the engine on the right, which has been fine-tuned, said you should use content authors. So this is the advantage of the fine-tune process. Again, about the short description, it attempts to take a short description and make it shorter based on the fine-tune rule. The third example is uploading your data to an OpenAI Assistant vector store. So OpenAI Assistant is built on top of OpenAI, and it allows you to have a conversation, a threaded conversation with the AI engine. And in this case, this particular trans type starts the DITA OT, publishes data to Markdown, and then uploads the Markdown resources to a vector store. So if I would have, for example, the Oxygen user's manual, I can use the AI upload to Assistant vector store, and it has an OpenAI key and the vector store ID. And it will go from DITA to Markdown and then take the Markdown and upload it to the vector store. And this means that the vector store on OpenAI is populated with all the Markdown equivalents of my user's guide. And this also means that I can create an assistant based on the vector store, which will reply to questions based on my user's manual. So if I ask it something, it will perform retrieval augmented generation based on the Markdown files that I uploaded. So it says running retrieval, and then it responds directly from the Oxygen user's manual instead of inventing and hallucinating. So yeah, this is the advantage of using an AI vector store. You can create your own retrieval augmented generation stuff directly in OpenAI, in the OpenAI Assistance interface. Yeah. The fourth example. You use the AI as part of the preprocessing stage. So you allow the DITA OT to publish, for example, to HTML, but maybe you add an AI stage which translates dynamically the content, or processes the content dynamically as the content gets published. So, for example, with a small data map, I say data map to HTML with translate to French preprocessing. I have the OpenAI key, and I have a prompt here. And the prompt is quite a detailed prompt for the AI to translate the DITA XML to French. So each topic will be translated to French, and then the HTML processing continues. So the DITA OT processes the content, and then it applies the pre-processing part both on the data map and on the topics, on these two topics here. So in the end, if that goes well, I should obtain the manual in French, for example. But the prompt is flexible, so you can take the prompt and change it in order to pre-process the content in some other way. Yeah, so this is one way of, So as you see now, I have the HTML output directly translated to French using AI. There is no intermediate memory or something, no cache. It's just an example of what you could do with AI and the DITA Open Toolkit. And yeah, so from an English topic, you can publish directly to a French topic in the PDF, in the HTML web help. So the DITA OT goes and publishes as normal, but then you have a step in the pre-processing stage. And the last example I have for you is called AI Summarize. You start the DITA OT and it does DITA to Markdown, and then you apply AI Summarize on each Markdown file and obtain a single summary, a single Markdown file containing a summarization of the entire data map. So I can tell, I can say AI Summarize. I could also use Olama, for example. I'm using OpenAI right now. So again, pre-processing, Markdown, the summarization, and to show you how the summary looks like. So the summary shows each topic reference, and then a short summary of the topic. What could you do with these summaries? You could, let me close some of this stuff up. So you could create summaries for larger publications, for example, for the entire Oxygen user guide. And then you can send this summary to the AI engine to have a better context. And I came up with a couple of examples. Maybe I want the AI engine to suggest for me a reorganizing the data map. So I give the AI engine a summary of my publication in Markdown, and I ask the AI engine to reorganize the content for advice. So I ask the AI engine for advice on reorganizing the content. Maybe I want the AI engine to find a place in the data map where a new topic should be inserted. So I have a new topic, I'm not sure where to insert it in the data map. I create a summarization and I ask it, where should I insert this topic, and the AI engine might give me an example. Or maybe I want to ask the AI engine to add additional links between topics. So I give it the summarization of the data map and I ask it, okay, now come up with more links which can be added between several topics. So yeah, I think you have certain interesting use cases here to explore using the AI with the content generated by the DITA OT, or using the AI to pre-process content or to take content pre-processed by the DITA OT and change it. And you could even maybe ask the AI to give you a graph maybe of your topics. So create a summarization and ask the AI to give you a graph of how your data topics link to each other. Yeah, this is more or less my experiment with using the DITA OT with AI. And now I'm waiting for your questions. Yes, Rob.
Question about application of style guide. You said that what your tool does was it'll create examples and non-examples. to help train it. Because the generative AI doesn't understand what a dangling participle is, right? So
It
you
might.
have- right, right. So, but you've got to create. Like, how does that work? How many examples do you need to provide it, or non-examples do you need to provide it for it to actually stick?
So this particular prompt, I think I have it here somewhere. It asks the AI to create some JSON rules. Okay, so we have the fine-tune prompt. Yeah, this is how it looks like. So it says, generate question and answers for each rule, which can be extracted from the given markdown content. And this says, you should give 2 examples for each assistant, one which breaks the rule and one which makes the rule valid. And then I give it some examples about how I would go around implementing such rules as a human.
Yeah.
And then I let it loose on the DITA topic. This is what it does right now, at least. Not really perfect.
So it starts with your examples and then it generates more examples. From your
Yeah, so I give it an example about how the JSON should be structured, the output JSON, and then I tell it, go on this DITA topic and create for each rule, whatever you sense as a rule, create this small example with valid and invalid, and it creates, attempts to create these examples itself.
Thank you.
All right, second question. All right. Thanks for listening.